The process. The process. It's been a long time since I have. I'm gonna do this raw. No takes, just straight raw in it. Alright, cool. So it's been a long time, guys, since you last see me on here. And today I just want to talk about the process. If you're viewing this video, this is gonna put your mind more at ease in terms of how you're doing in life, whether you're reaching on your heights or you're on your lows right now. It doesn't matter. To make things more simple and straightforward in your life, because obviously there's gonna be certain setbacks and certain challenges that you're gonna face and you're gonna go through. The process will the process will give you that closure within yourself that you need to know that you just have to keep going regardless of what the situation is. So the reason why I want to talk in this video and the reason why it's important to me is because I was someone that was on the forefront of settling for the outcomes within the process. And I'll give you one example. I can be working towards something, saving money up for something that I want or require. Then like just before that will hit, when I'm 90% across the finish line, that 10% of me will weigh into 100% of, okay, cool, I've sabotaged the whole operation. I've sabotaged the goal. So why is this? Why am I saying this? Because of the anticipation of not trusting in the process. It's only the anticipation of me going towards that goal, because I feel that when I have that goal or get that goal within my life, yeah, I will be complacent. I will be complacent with myself. And that will set me below where I'm meant to be or what I'm doing in my life. So it's just very important to, trust the process and trust God, with what you're doing. Because what you have to understand is that, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, because I feel in the generation, society is kind of built to warp our minds where, everything comes quick, everything comes fast, and that's not what it is. Because look, society cannot outweigh, life. It can't outweigh how life is. It can't outweigh the time and when things are supposed to happen. Obviously obviously it's up and down to you what you have to do with your life and how fast or how slow you want to take your life in. But one thing you have to know that, direction is better than speed. People are speeding for no reason and being misled and being misdirected within their life. And I've been one of those people. Why is this? Why is that? Because it's like, when you are in a certain culture or a certain group, you can get tangled into certain things. And what I mean by culture, I don't mean people of color or anything, just culture in terms of being relatable in terms of what is going on in that group or in that space of people's interests and where people have their minds to. So what I'm trying to say is that, a lot of us find ourselves caught up in highways, in a motorway, but no one wants to, take that time to go aside in that quiet road and, contemplate or learn or unlearn the things that they've learned on the high road to transfer to that quiet road. And it's really important that you take that time in solitude to understand that everything is a process in your life. Everything is a process. A baby is in a mother's womb for 9 months. You're not going to expect your child to be 20 years old straight from the jump from when the day was born. It's a process. There's certain steps, there's certain levels that you have to get to. Sorry, there's certain levels that the child has to get to get to that age. Certain lessons that they learn, certain lessons you learn, certain lessons I learn that you have to get through. So when you have a certain goal, don't focus on the outcome. look, the outcome is part of the process. The main important thing about what you are doing in your life is all about the process, because the process outweighs anything, because anything can happen. The process is the blessing. You are the blessing. You know, the process is the lesson. The process is everything that you want in your life to happen, because when you overlook or outlook the process, you are gonna fall short to a lot of things. You are going to fall short in the average category. You are going to fall short to failure. You know, you are going to fall short to so many things where people had expectations of you and you settled for less because, you know, when they thought that you was going to get to it, you didn't, because you focused on the outcome. My friend, I'm telling you now that the process is the best lesson that you can ever learn. And when you focus on the process, you start to make progress, you'll see. And the thing is, you'll be so infatuated and so focused on the process to the point where you're not even focused on the outcome. It just comes. It just comes. Look at all the greats, you know, they focus on the process. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, you know, all the artists, Michael Jackson, James Brown, they all had some sort of universal language that was relatable to their success, because they understood a lot of things about themselves that wasn't normal or average to your normal human being. You know, high performing, elite level. You know, they were on a frequency where they knew they were in tune with themselves. They couldn't let the outside world break them down. If anything, they used that power to put towards their craft and whatever they was doing. That's why it's important to just look up the greats, study the greats. You know, I'm currently doing that. And it's just important to understand, you know, if you feel some certain way about yourself, journal, write that down, write that certain thing down that is holding you back, holding you down. Work on that weakness, continue to perfect on that. You know, obviously you're not going to be a perfectionist, but there's always a room for improvement. I'm always going to be a student. I'm never going to be a master. You know, you can't always think or feel that you know everything. You will know a lot of things, but you're not going to know everything. So everything is just in a process. Everything is in a process. You're taking time. It's in a process. So anything you work on, always put effort on it. You know, because I can't lie to you, it's been a long time since I've came in front of the camera, and I feel, because obviously, you know, I've got certain things coming up, like a big run coming up. I'm running from Manchester to London. You know, for me to get to that stage, I have to train. I have to trust in the process. I have to take little runs and get big runs in. I can't just jump straight into the deep end. I have to condition my body. I have to be ready for that. I have to do the right training. I have to eat the right foods for my body to get ahead of that. You know, and it's just in under 2 months. But guess what? I'm in the process of getting trained. So I'm in the process of training. I'm getting in that gym. I'm going to put myself in the right shape, the right mindset to get into that, because guess what? I'm in the process of doing that. And that is what's important. So anything you do in your life, always trust in the process. Peace.